Om Namo Narayanaya. This is Vedic astrology, sidereal zodiac. My name is Aurélie, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon that's coming up on Monday night. Again, I'm going to be focusing on Vedic astrology, which uses the sidereal zodiac. Our calculations differ a little bit, again, because we're using the stars rather than the equinox. So stick around, listen to the message, and see how it lands with you. So what we're looking at here is the Panchanga, which means the month in review for October in Vedic astrology, sidereal zodiac. All right, we're clear on that. So the lunar day of the full moon begins at S15. It ends at K1, which means that this is the moment of maximum illumination for the full moon. And how do you see that? It's quite easy. If you click on K1, you can see that the sun is at 19 degrees 56 and the moon is at 19 degrees 56, right opposite, 7th from. And it's shining all its light here. Now, if you do want to look for the exact timing of the full moon in your location, you can go on this website and type exactly this, and it will take you to here, and then you click on Panchanga, and then you make sure this has your location, okay? Now we're just going to pull up that chart for the full moon, which is going to take place on Monday night for us in Europe. I'm going to put the moon right here so you can see what I meant by 7th, right opposite. The sun is shining right opposite. Now this full moon is going to shine in all its glory quite close to Saturn, and Saturn is currently retrograde. What do retrograde planets signify? You hear me talking about that a fair amount. Saturn, especially retrograde, shows us situations from the past. So long, old situations, things from the past are coming into light. Full moons are things coming into light, a sort of culmination, but there's an auspiciousness, there's a sort of goodness that comes with the full moon, even when we're looking at difficult situations. So this is a great time to redigest if there's an old situations, trauma, release trauma, do some. If crying is cathartic for you, watching certain movies and like letting go of like those tears, helping you move through emotions works for you, do that. Going for a run. Some people do really well with writing and journaling. If you are one of those people, this is a great evening and full moon to do that. Whether it's a relationship, whether the Saturn is agitating, relationship with your family, romantic relationship, situations with work, or feeling lost with your purpose or your health, again, it's bringing to light and letting go and transforming. It's an opportunity to transform some of those difficult things, okay? Now what's significant about this retrograde Saturn and the situation from the past, the Saturn is currently right over the degrees of its conjunction with Rahu, which happened last March, which was a very important conjunction. And so Saturn-Rahu conjunction took place in those early degrees of Pisces, and Saturn is returning to those early degrees. So this is really a moment in time where this old situation that would have caused you a little bit of like a storm in your life, a sudden changes, could have caused some sorrow, some difficulty, discord. It's really kind of, again, zooming in onto that old situation from last March. And we talked about letting go. Now for relationship, the month of October is an interesting one. It's a transformating one. It can be a little bit of a difficult one. Obviously, we're seeing in the news some big reports from here and there of divorces and situations ending. And Venus is going right into K2. Venus is going into the node of the moon that is about renunciation, but shows the things we're ready to be done with. We really want separation from. K2 has this wanting to let go. We say K2 is headless, it's just a body. The head is Rahu, which is just the head without a body, which is why it can make you want things, be obsessive without with thinking, but just without a body, with no awareness of the way it affects you, right? Taking things in without awareness of how it affects you, so it can show certain addiction. Versus K2 is the body, so it doesn't think, but it wants to let go and get rid of things. When K2 is involved in either your second house, the second lord, fourth house. It can show separation from family or wanting to cut that person off, or if it's with the fourth lord, that's mother, or the moon, it can show a separation, wanting to cut off mom, or again, cutting off, right? I feel like it's a very something we hear a lot about, especially in recent years. Over a shift, in awareness with relationship with family. But yes, cutting things off. And it's a deeply spiritual node too, because it's a letting go, right? What are we doing when we go into a meditation? We're not out in the world trying to build a business or offering our services or having fun or trying new things or booking a trip. We're sitting down and we're wanting to let go of the world, wanting to let go of those experiences and draw in. Okay, so this is why Ketu is such a spiritual planet. So Venus is going through this letting go phase, and after that, which is happening right during this full moon, and right when it's done with transitioning through Ketu, going into this sort of eclipse, it's going to be in its debilitation sign. After that, it's also going to be in a Parivartana, which is like an exchange. So those two, Virgo and Libra, is going to be, those two energies are going to mix together a little bit because of the Parivartan. But let's not talk too, well, we'll just focus on the fact that Venus is going through a journey until November 2nd. And it's transformative, especially for relationship, romance, sensuality. If you're a woman who holds a lot of shame, has had sexual trauma from early age, this is a beautiful full moon to do some writing, releasing, cutting cords over those past lovers that may have hurt you, where you're carrying any sort of shame. For anyone else who may have had an issue with over-sexuality in their younger years, this is again a great full moon to let go of the shame, and review your relationship to that sensual aspect of life, and that's a good time to do that before Venus goes into its debilitation sign, right? Venus goes from Ketu into its sign of debilitation, into its sign of... Debilitations are really interesting, aren't they? A debilitated planet, we say, can't express its positive qualities outwards, but it shows a different sort of quality. It shows a different sort of quality. Like, for example, when the sun, which is about to go into its debilitation, because we're the month of Diwali, we're the month where the sun is going to go into debilitation, and that's when the dark moon of the sun debilitated is the dark moon where we say, come back, bring back the light to me. Now that you have gone through this debilitation and you are going around again, all the zodiac, bring back the light towards me for the year to come until you go again in this darkness. Okay, but a debilitated sun will do what? It will make you humble, right? And the sun is what? Shining. It gives you confidence. But when it's debilitated, maybe you're not so confident, you don't really like to be the center of attention, you don't have this like fiery sun energy, but you do have this very strong humility within you, where you don't think yourself more or less important than others, and that's a beautiful aspect. So in the same way, Venus has special qualities which come forward when she's debilitated. But that being said, it's debilitated Venus will absolutely show difficulties in the area of romance, sensuality, also health. Why is Venus so important for health? Venus impacts definitely our reproductive health. Again, having a partner, sharing a partner is important, right? Touch, overall, hopefully mental health. Hopefully it's a positive things on your mental health. Then we have to talk about choosing the right partner. But, ideally it's something that brings you health and an uplift in life, yeah? But it's also comfort. Venus shows us comfort, our ability to allow ourselves to lean into this comfort of life, to have beautiful things, to put in the effort to have, a comfortable bed, to sleep well so that we can sleep well and breathe well and rest well, and then better health. Yeah, Venus has a big say into our bed and what we choose for a bedroom, again because of the activity of Venus that happens there, but it's also where we rejuvenate when we go to sleep. Okay, so having a beautiful, comfortable bed is something that's Venus ruled. Being able to enjoy the comfort, to take time off. Even when we're taking time off after a hard day of work and focusing, it's good for the brain to have this moment of releasing, of laughter, of joy. Yeah. In my tradition, often we say Venus is like the young girl who's going out and having fun and putting on a pretty dress and some lipstick, while the moon is like a mother. She becomes the woman who is carrying a child, and now she becomes the caring aspect of the feminine. And those two show different facets of the feminine, the water energy. They're both water planets. Okay. All right, so this full moon, I think I've given you plenty for this full moon. Do some journaling, do some like cathartic work, some passing of emotion, releasing. If you need to cry, if you need to journal. Again, if you want to do some work around that Venus, because it's the whole month, it's going to go through that journey. So if there's old things, if there's shame, if there are patterns that you want to work on, things you want to reflect on about your relationship with sensuality and sexuality, old trauma, this full moon is a special time to do that. You can write a letter, you can, write an initial of someone on a little rock and throw the rock back in the river and let go. Again, it's an important one. Now, Saturn, on a mundane level, Saturn represents the people, right? And we're seeing a lot of shake up with that, protests, and there's a strong sense of that. Pisces is also the upward direction. It's the last sign of the zodiac, which is interesting because we're having a lot of talks right now about space news. It represents the above and the sky and the ocean. But we do have a lot of like space news at the moment between the big rock that we're hopefully getting a look at. I hope they share some photos of that. That's passing Mars, or just a journey to the moon that we're planning. So that's definitely coming into light. Now, interestingly enough, full moons are always a bit of a trigger time for shakes. I mean, again, I'm always quite or earthquakes happen all the time, can happen all the time, but a lot of the tsunamis have taken place during full moons, if you go back into all the charts. So it's always a bit of an interesting time for those sensitive situations. And it does, Pisces is the ocean, because that vastness, but it can also, in Jyotisha, we say it also rules over the Akash, the sky. So it is sort of the expansiveness, goes from the ocean into the sky. And that's why sometimes Pisces can be a little bit overly a dreamer or not very grounded. There's a lack of groundedness because of this expansive nature. Yeah. All right, happy almost full moon. And we talked a little bit about the whole journey of Venus. I may do another video that's just focused on the journey of Venus, where I'll do a deep dive of the journey of Venus. But be a little patient on relationships. It could be a little of a transformative time. And all right, the classes are going to open up again. I'm back in Europe. I'm traveling with Alma for a little while. I don't know if you know Alma. She's a beautiful saint from India who gives darshan, blessing, by giving embracing, by giving her embrace. This is Alma. And so Alma is going to be in Europe. I'm going to be traveling with her for a couple of weeks. But classes are going to... I'm working on classes, timing for the class, and Dharma Devata. I do have a few one-on-one readings available for actually in the next few days. So if you want that, you can email. All the information is below. And the newsletter is going to be going out and all the good stuff as usual. We'll talk soon. All right.